Hey everyone, we're going to do the sequel to the stuck Moen faucet cartridge, and we're going to start from scratch this time. Had some comments from people saying that that torquing on the faucet is a bad idea, and someone suggested a different way to do it, so we're going to document that here. So to start out, we need to pop the handle cover off, which take a small screwdriver and carefully insert it to get it loose, and then that pops off. Next, to get the handle off, there's a screw inside there. You just loosen that. Next, this decorative piece just pulls out. Then, to make sure we have plenty of room to work around this, I'm just going to remove this cover part and get it out of the way. And carefully loosen it. It may be stuck or puttied or sealed. You don't want to damage the tile. Next, there's a retaining clip on the faucet that holds that cartridge in. You want to either get an awl or something to, there's a little tiny hole there, you can get something in there. This one's already loose, but we just pull that out. Okay, so with our new cartridge replacement, Moen 1200 in this case, they give you this little plastic tool, which is ridiculous because it doesn't do anything with these stuck cartridges. In the instructions they say you're supposed to turn it 90 degrees and then it just pulls out. It just doesn't happen. This plastic thing is useless. So here we have our replacement cartridge, and you can see the entire cartridge and the silver stem here. This is where people start having trouble on the old part, because this, you can use a puller tool to get the stem out, which I have the Moen puller tool, but we'll get the stem out, but that doesn't get the cartridge out. So this tool has a screw here that goes into where the handle screw attaches. Has a couple ears on it, which match the cartridge inside the body there. You get this screwed onto the stem. Crank this down, and what happens is you start pulling on her, and all that happens is the stem comes out without the cartridge. It seems like it's coming out. I think you're done. In actuality, all you've done is pull the stem out. The cartridge is still inside the faucet. So as you can see, this part, well, I have one broken ear already, a bent ear. Trying to use this tool to pull the cartridge, and it does nothing but break those ears off. So, like a lot of other people, we are now at the point where we have the cartridge stuck in a faucet. What to do? Now, in the previous video, we tapped and threaded a bolt till it seated and started torquing on it, and I've gotten some comments saying that's a really bad idea because, as I mentioned before, you can actually possibly break off the pipes, and then you're stuck replacing the whole faucet again. So instead of torquing on it, someone suggested we just adapt a puller. However, that's not going to work because if these ears are still on, because you're just going to be pulling against nothing. So one comment I got was to use the bolt like we did before, except use a socket to make a puller out of this. So it seems like that might work. However, you've got to have the right size socket so that these ears don't block your pulling action. I guess that's what they meant. Not sure if this is too small or too big. But. So I already happen to have a tap that is a 12 millimeter 1.75 in my toolkit. Other people have commented that you can use a 1/2 inch tap. It works just fine. They're very similar in size. So if you're not familiar with how taps work, in my I have a Craftsman kit. It has a variety of taps. It should have a tool here to do this by hand with an adapter, so that this fits in here in one of these holes. There we go. So you just hold this so that you can get turning action. And you want to start carefully so that you get a good bite. And get it straight as you can. You can hear it's cutting already. So I'm going to cut about, I don't know, 1/2 inch deep this time. Maybe a little more. So the cartridge is made out of brass. It's soft, so it should cut easily, as you can see. It's about 3/4 of an inch, maybe, I'm guessing. Pull the tap back out carefully. Or turn the tap back out, rather. So now we got threads inside of the cartridge. And there's no going back now because we've just destroyed our faucet if we can't get it out of there. Alright, another comment I had on the previous video, one guy unfortunately sheared the bolt off inside the faucet. He had it going apparently. And the bolt he was using sheared off inside, so he ended up having to replace the whole faucet. Make sure this threads are going to seat. That feels good. So I went to Ace Hardware since I needed a metric. I got the 12 millimeter, the 1.75 bolt. I got several of them in lengths, but this is a hardened bolt. There are other bolts that are cheaper, and I would suggest using the strongest material you can find. I went to Ace and went to the hardware section, and they have different kinds, and this is the hardened steel. So a couple ways you could go about doing this, and I just wanted to show you this. As someone had recommended using a socket, which I think will work good. I think that's a good idea. Also, I bought a variety of washers. I imagine that might work too. Just you're creating a puller. Once this bolt gets threaded all the way down and seated, it will start pulling on these. However, if it's flush, I think these ears are going to block the pulling action. So I'm going to break the rest of that tab off. I already damaged it with the Moen tool anyway, so this is already half broken off. And what I just did there, you can see on the new cartridge, these little ears, those break off when you're trying to pull it out. So I want to try this with the washers first and see if that works. So I've got a variety. I'm just going to create a puller. Okay, so we got it set up. The washers are pushing against the body of the faucet. The bolt is threaded into the cartridge. And when we turn this, that cartridge should pull freely. I think that's it. Well, I can see the cartridge now moving freely in there. There it comes. There we go. There it is. Nice. Much better method. Alright, so I got the old one out. I just want to try something. I'm going to put her back in and try the socket to see if it does the same thing. Now that I know I can get that out of there. So another way, as suggested by YouTube user Now Life Starts, said using a socket, and it looks like a 3/4 inch socket will allow the cartridge to fit inside the socket while pushing on the body of the faucet. So let's try that. So I'm sticking the open socket end to the body, and I need the longer bolt. So for this method, you're going to need a bolt long enough that accommodates the socket and getting down into the cartridge. And I just happened to buy a longer one. In fact, I got 3 lengths. I got like a 2 inch, a 2.5, and whatever this is, 3.5 inches. And this looks like this is going to work well too. Turning, yeah, nice. So thanks to Now Life Starts, this is a great idea. More. Same effect with the socket. And like we did before, I'm going to rinse out the inside of that just to make sure there's no metal shavings or this seats inside there. And one thing about the hot and cold, I don't know which is which, so I've got a 50-50 chance of getting it right. But once we get, so the plastic thing has redeemed itself. Works on the new one. Just does nothing for you to get the old one out. Get that seated all the way. There we go. Okay, I just turned the water back on. I'm going to pop the faucet on the handle here temporarily just so I can operate it. See what we got here. So what I'm doing here, I want to see whether I've got hot or cold coming out of the correct side. As I've done it, I guessed wrong, and when I turn it to the right, I got hot water. So I'm glad that happened because we can show you how to fix that. It's very easy. We're just basically going to pull the pin, turn the cartridge 180, and handle back off. Turn the water off first before we do this. Okay, before I pull that pin, make sure I turn the water back off. Need to pull, I'm sorry, the clip. I call it a clip, whatever it is. Pull this out, and we're going to get the plastic tool, which came with the new cartridge, which I said before sucks, but it's actually useful in this application. We're going to turn this 180-degree turn. That, let's see if it's lined up properly to get the clip back in. And don't lose the clip inside the wall. Just be careful when you're handling it. There we go. There. Seated all the way. There we go. And that should do it. Now I'll retest it. So now I know the hot's to the left, cold's to the right.